Hi, second graders. I've been working on my personal narrative even after I finished recording. I hope you're also continuing to add to your personal narrative and change parts to make it clear for your reader. It's exciting to see and hear our story get better every day. Today we're working on lesson 12, transitions. Our objective, I can use transition words in a personal narrative. Turn to page 36. We're going to look for transition words together. Transition words help us transition from one moment to another. Let's read. That Saturday morning, Mother took out her suitcase. Where are you going? Asked Arthur. The baby can come any day now, said Mother. I need to be ready for the hospital. Here, said DW, something for you to look at while you're there. One day after school, DW grabbed Arthur's arm. I will teach you how to diaper a baby, she said. Don't worry about diapers, said Mother. Come, sit next to me. I want to show you something. This came from Arthur. There's a series by Mark Brown. So that Saturday morning and one day after school are transitions. They're helping the reader transition from knowing what's happening in this moment to happening in a different moment. It's helping to guide your reader through the story. Let's see. Now I want to make sure that we're doing that in our story. And turn to page 19. Miss Calhoun went over some transition words with you during cycle 1. We're going to use this again. So here we're on page 19. We're going to use this for cycle 2 and for cycle 3. So let's see, we have the next day, the next week, the next night, first, next, finally, suddenly, a few minutes later, a few days later, days later, a few seconds later. I'm going to add a few more. I'm going to say hours later. I can also use immediately. Soon, after this, and after a while. All right, you can also add more as well. If you've actually run out of space because you've added some since Miss Calhoun has gone through this with you, you can even use Post-its. Write your transition words or phrases on a Post-it and then stick it onto this page. All right, now I want to check my own writing and see where I can add some transitions. I want to help guide my reader through the story. And if I already have some in my story, I can also circle them just to show that they are already in my writing. Okay, let's see. Creak, my knees cracked as I squatted next to my garden box. I wanted to get my garden boxes ready for planting. I dug into the fresh, loose soil and unearthed plump, white, curled up creatures. Ew, what are you? I wondered. I don't think you're supposed to be there, I thought. I discovered several plump white bugs that seemed to live in clusters. I frantically dug through each garden bed, searching for more white bugs. Out of my 6 garden beds, I found these white bugs in every bed. I began to panic. I needed to know what they were called. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back here. There are some things that are starting to happen. I want to help guide my reader through. So I'm starting by my garden box and I'm digging through, and then I start to, and I find these bugs. Then I actually get up and I start to go through each of the garden boxes. It's a little bit of a change in what's happening in my story, and I want to add a transition there. So let's see, I can add, so right after I say, I don't think you're supposed to be there, and I discover the bugs, then I get up and I start to literally dig through all my garden beds. And so I want to have a transition here. Let's see, what word should I choose? Let's see. You know, maybe I'm going to add something a little bit different. I'm going to use the word after. I think I'll say after this discovery. After this discovery. discovery, I frantically dug through each garden bed, searching for more white bugs. Out of my 6 garden beds, I found these white bugs in every bed. I began to panic. I needed to know what they were called. Okay, so now there's another transition coming. I can feel it. So I'm searching through the beds. I'm starting to wonder. And now I'm about to do some research. I want to have a transition here. Okay, let's see. What do I want to say? Maybe immediately I pulled out my phone. I have that one over here. Immediately I pulled out my phone with my right hand and held the bug in my left. White bug in garden. I spoke as I typed into the Google search bar. I clicked on Google Images. I saw a picture of what I was holding in my gloved hand and the word grub underneath. I clicked on the photo and, oh, I missed a spot. The grub underneath. I have to remember all these notes. Grub, that's what Pumbaa and Timon eat in The Lion King, I thought to myself. Well, are they good or bad for the garden? I clicked on the photo and started to read about the plump white quarter-sized bug. I skimmed the article about grubs. Then I found it. Grubs can wreak damage in the vegetable garden. Grubs eat the roots of plants, which end up killing them. That's it. These buggies need to go, I told myself. I added something new down here. I put my phone in my back pocket and began to furiously dig and pick out every grub I could find. How do I know they're not going to come back? I asked myself. I pulled out my phone again. You know what? That is something else. It's something that's changing my story. I want to have a transition here as well. Let's see. What do I want to add for this one? Maybe, I don't know if I want to use the word immediately again. Maybe suddenly? Maybe I'll put suddenly. There's the word here. Suddenly, I pulled out my phone again. All right, Google, how do I get rid of the grubs naturally? I asked. Beneficial nematodes, the article stated. What are those? I wondered. Well, let me go ask the employees at the nursery. I left the closest nursery in search of beneficial nematodes. All right, so students, your job today is to underline the transitions on page 36 that came from the story Arthur. Make sure that you have that Saturday morning and one day after school underlined. And then I want you to add the transitions that I added on page 19 and see if you can think of some of your own to add. Next, you're going to look through your own writing and add 1 or 2 transition words or circle circle transitions that are already in your writing. And remember that if you haven't finished writing your personal narrative, you haven't finished your story, make sure that you continue writing and working on that.